Did God betray Joseph? Let's look at it as we recap yesterday's sermon and bring it into application for everyday use. When people betray us, oftentimes we make a link from people to the world and from the world to God. If people can betray us, the world is a treacherous place. If the world is a treacherous place, then God is not for me, and he might have even betrayed me. So what happens to Joseph? There's two parties that actually betray Joseph severely. First of all, obviously, it's the brothers. They act out of jealousy. They're blinded by rage. And when you're blinded and you don't see the person anymore, because the way they talk about Joseph is the dreamer. Here comes the dreamer in Genesis 37. It says everything that they do is in collective. They saw him coming, they spoke together, they conspired, they stripped him of his coat, they sold him. All of these things happen in the collective. It's a group think. They no longer see him really as a person. They only see him as a reason for their unhappiness. And so what they want to do is just get rid of him. There's a hate in them. People who sometimes betray you really do it out of bad motives, and that is the harsh reality of the evilness of the human soul. Now, not everybody who betrays you actually does that out of evil. Some people just do it because they're ignorant. That would be Joseph. Joseph is completely ignorant. He thinks it's all good. Or he knows it's not good, but he chooses to sweep it under the rug. He tells his son, Joseph, hey, Joseph, please go and have a look at the peace of your brothers. That's plus minus the wording for when he's being sent out. The peace? What peace? Joseph was ignoring the problems that were brewing. And he knew that his brothers had done violent things prior. And so what was he doing? He was ignoring the reality. He was actually being, willfully blind. And so sometimes people will betray you out of ignorance. They forget you. They forget an appointment. They tell you they will do something. And, it's the ignorance sometimes that hurts us the most. People who have experienced, horrible things sometimes are more shocked about the bystanders who haven't done anything, who should have seen it, should have done something. Now, both people, the brothers and the father, they're actually just ignorant. They don't see Joseph really. They don't see the situation. But there's a third person in the story, which is this random man in the field. And I want to talk about him right now because he is this odd figure that just appears out of nowhere, where Joseph is lost, doesn't see where his brothers are, and he sends him on the way to find them. First of all, it says that the man found Joseph. Hang on a second. Just a random man found Joseph in a field. Secondly, it says that the man knew what the brothers had spoken together. Where was the man when their brothers were speaking? How did he know what they were talking together in secret? It also says that the man, knows what's in the heart of Joseph. So this man sees Joseph. He is one of the occurrences, I would say, of the theophanies, like when God appears in the story of Genesis. In the book of Genesis, there's multiple moments where there's just a man that appears, does something to change the course of the story, and disappears again. It happens to Abram and Sarah when God meets them and tells them, you're going to have a son. It happens to Lot. It happens to Hagar, who is is about to die from thirst, and then suddenly God appears to her. It happens to the father of Joseph, to Jacob. He fights with God during the night, but first it says he fought with a man, and then when the man disappears, he says, I saw God and I did not know it. This is what happens. God appears. Now, did God betray Joseph? That is the question. Well, the difference between God and people is God actually sends Joseph. He sees beyond the pit. He sees Egypt. He sees the salvation of many. And so we need to see this, like there's a resurrection story in this sending. When God sent his son to be stripped of his coat, betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, like Joseph, betrayed by a guy called Judah, like Joseph, betrayed by people who were thinking as a collective, a mob that was killing Jesus. God sent his son. He did not just carelessly bring him somewhere and go like, oh, I did not see this, because he had a purpose for the pit. He had a reason to do this. There's a purpose in the pit. And even in your situation right now, there's a purpose for the situation that is in. I want to bless you for the time that you're in. Maybe you're in a very normal season. Maybe you are in a deep, deep, troubling time. If you're looking at this clip as a connect group, think of the three figures that appear. Think of how do they see Joseph? Discuss together, where can we surrender pit moments to God? God bless you guys. Have a wonderful week.